Yeah, that was Lisa's letter. Did you read that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I didn't, I couldn't download it,
All her
couldn't open it.
concerns are not, based on the drawings and so forth, and the setbacks, and
Let me take a look at it when you're done.
not a problem. But she doesn't know that. We certainly can't hold a hearing because she didn't.
Well, I don't think we can hold it up. That should be put in the application file.
Yeah, I'll print it out, so. I'll find it somewhere and then
Maybe-
go into my trash.
Probably should share it with our
Yep.
applicants.
I'll read it out.
If you read it,
Yeah, I read it.
thank you. I'll read her out loud.
If I do that,
Oh, you don't want me to take it home?
pardon?
You don't want me to take that home?
No, I'm not. We got a letter that you probably should see, since you probably haven't seen it.
Actually, no, she sent me a copy.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and he just read it.
Well, we're a minute or two early, but we can start. So, roll call, please.
Lloyd,
Frank, are you here?
am I present?
Are you present?
Yes, I'm present.
Dave?
Yep, here.
Okay, so we have more than a quorum. So, the application. It's gonna be difficult. So, the application is for Alyssa and Chris Markup, 58 Green Hill Road. And their statement is, it's really pain in the butt. Answering to all the 5 items. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because the existing house and the proposed addition are within the setback from the road and are abutters on either side. Existing house and proposed addition are not within the setback of our abutter to the north, Jackson Water Precinct.
Is that a typo? A typographical error? The house is within the setback to,
It is not. The existing house is already too close to the,
yeah, it's in the setback.
correct.
Yeah,
Oh, right. And,
Yeah, okay. So at least I read that as a typo.
Just on the back side though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So it says here, 50 feet
That's the
from
rule.
the center of Green Hill Road. And it's showing it beyond that here.
Well, just barely. Well, currently, yes, the current house.
Here's the back here.
Back, okay, but
Okay, so the whole house
is over.
within, exactly.
Okay, but
That's the 50 feet.
they're okay with that.
Yeah, and they're okay on either
The
side.
front and back. Okay, so I think that's what
It's just the water.
Proposed, are not within the setback of our abutter to the north, Jackson Water Precinct, but there is a steep incline directly behind the proposed project, and the addition would not be visible from most of the Jackson Water property. I've got some questions on all that. This project, variance is granted, spirit of the ordinance would be observed because this project would not change the essential character of the neighborhood. It would not negatively impact our abutters. And my question here is, what do they have to say? We have one. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because existing house was built prior to current building codes and zoning ordinance laws and encroaches on the water precinct property. So it does not. It encroaches on the setback.
Correct.
Okay, all right, so. Homeowners are improving and bringing up modern code. Got a question about that. Current structure as well expanding the home to fit their growing extended needs, specifically adding space to relocate their mother, grandmother to live with them. Not granting the variance would likely result in the owners needing to relocate. It will also allow the homeowners to move their driveway further up the road from the crest of the hill, giving more visibility and safety when pulling into and out of their driveway, as well as replacing material, improving the road culverts, and overall erosion on property. Number 4, if the variance were granted, the values of the surrounding properties would not be diminished because it is designed in keeping with the current look and feel of the current structure and the surrounding homes. It is no closer to the road. If anything, this project will increase the value of surrounding homes. And unnecessary hardship. No fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because property already encroaches the setback in the butters to the north, Jackson Water Precinct. Proposed addition would not encroach any further than it already sits, and as stated earlier, the addition would not be visible from most of the Jackson Water Precinct's property. Proposed use is a reasonable one because the proposed use is residential. I'll explain how, as stated earlier, the existing structure already encroaches on the setback. Jackson Water Precinct not granting the variance would not allow any addition to the home. Okay, so it's your turn. Well, do you have anything to add to anything we've read here?
I think that's basically the gist of it.
So we have, we've got the receipts from all the abutters. It was advertised in the Daily Sun and here. So, okay, so I have some questions. Anybody want to start?
Oh, you go ahead if you've got questions.
Steep incline directly behind the proposed project. What does that affect?
What does it affect?
Yes.
That's just, right behind our house, the Water Precinct's property goes up quite a bit.
Yeah.
And basically, my point of that was that completely blocks their view of our house. If you can see from the Water Precinct property, as you first go through the gate, if you look up, you can see the corner of our house, but the area that we would be building our addition, you wouldn't be able to see from their property, unless you're on top of that hill.
You know, all the houses up there, I've been up there and I know their house. All the houses up there have this very steep rise that comes up. From the road, it looks like it almost comes up to the roof of the, top of their roof, their peak. And then on the other side of that is the ski trail. There are no houses there. And obviously the Water Precinct is not, or whatever they call themselves, is not. They have nothing to say.
They don't live there.
Exactly. And so that's the whole point. I mean, they don't really care.
Okay, so in answer to the second item about the project would not change the essential character of the neighborhood, not negatively impact our abutters. We have one that wasn't all that negative about it, but voiced concerns about the size, the addition, the height of it. So
Could I just say something, because I looked at this stuff and I gave it some thought. On the plans, it says the height of the structure is 18 feet.
Yep.
Which is significantly below our
35-foot.
35-foot lines.
And the
The height of the existing structure.
Yeah, yeah,
And the new one's gonna be 25, I
25,
believe.
so we're adding about 15.
So you're still 10 feet
you're still
below the
10 feet
maximum.
below the limit. And on both of the neighbors, the lady who wrote and the other neighbor, we can see from the drawings that they're not violating or will not violate the 25-foot setback that's required by our regulations. So even though she may have questions, her questions are really irrelevant.
Okay.
Because as long as they're not violating the zoning ordinance,
Right.
you know, the size, the look, I mean, that's not, she may not like it when it's done, but it doesn't really matter, because,
Well, I mean, she did articulate that, with the mass of the addition, her view, her views would be impacted in what she could see or not see.
is that something that,
Well, eventually, we're gonna get to understand the purpose of the rear setback, or I have to discuss it at least.
Yep.
And, you know, she seems to be articulating that by violating the rear setback, her views are being diminished.
I didn't think that's what she said, maybe I should.
No, I
read
didn't
that
either.
again.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we should just read this out loud, so everybody, I mean, you've seen it, she copied you on it, so.
She seemed to be saying, I'm not sure whether I like this or not, I don't have enough information.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't, what I'm thinking is, well, what would she have, I don't know, the right is the right word,
Right.
but what would she have the right to complain about if her property, she said something about her property crowded her property, if they got a 25-foot setback to her property
Right,
line,
that's the
that's
regulation.
what it is.
No, but I guess what I'm, you're right, I read something in here that may not be there. That by extending backwards to the other property line, something that's 25 feet tall.
Yep.
You know, the views from that property looking, I suppose that's south. No, it's not south.
No, it's not south.
It's west of us.
There's no north or
Um, will be impacted. Now, how significant, is probably something for us to discuss, but, you know, it's not just the water precinct,
Well,
the concern, I mean, it's the other neighbors as well.
well, that's true, that's true. But there's nothing in our ordinance that speaks to your views. It does speak to character of the neighborhood or reduction of the value of
No, that's-
adjoining property.
No, with the zoning ordinance, though, you know, the whole purpose of setbacks is controlling density and making sure that you have decent views, and there's probably several other things one could articulate.
But there's nothing in there that says you can't hurt your neighbor's view by building something on your property.
As long as it's within the setbacks. The
Right.
issue here is, we're going outside the prescribed setback, and what kind of impacts does that have? So, I mean, I guess I'm saying it's perhaps not as clear-cut as you were just about to suggest.
My thought was, frankly, and I might as well tell you what my thought was. My thought was, they're already in the they're not going any further into the setback. Frankly, I hadn't thought about, well, they're going up another 9
7
feet or
feet,
something,
7
7
feet.
feet. I hadn't thought about that, but I don't know how much difference. So they're already in the setback. The property owner of where the setback is being violated has nothing to say. They don't care.
They're not
There's no
becoming
housing
more
behind them.
non-compliant.
And I'm thinking, as long as they meet the setback from the road and the setback from their neighbors, I mean, common sense would say, you know, that, we ought to be granting the,
Yeah,
What is the, so the rear setback, I mean, you're almost articulating that rear setback doesn't matter if there's nobody in the adjoining property at the back.
I
well,
think,
what's the purpose of the setback in the first place? Really?
Well,
I mean, isn't it to, you know, away from your neighbor? They have no neighbors. That's what was my thought.
but the thing is that
Let's go ahead.
the house was built before the setbacks
Yes,
were in
yeah,
ordinance.
that's right.
Right, so,
But for
Not
the
the-
existing house, but what we're talking about is the footprint, that the expansion of the footprint.
well, that's one of my questions.
Well, and we used to have in our ordinance that
Volume.
any increased volume, we don't have that
No,
anymore.
but we do still have the increase in the air footprint.
Well, I
Well,
looked at that ordinance, I don't remember.
floor area
this about
ratio.
Increase in footprint.
Floor area ratio, but not the, well,
No, FAR doesn't
Not
matter,
the
it has no
volume.
impact here, it's, the issue is that what's proposed is, and why building permit was turned down, is that, there is an incursion into the setback,
vertically.
for the, on the new building, on the part of the property, the new structure being constructed, not on the existing house, which also obviously already violates it, but you know, you're building something in addition to that in the setback,
Right,
and that's
why they need.
why that's why the building permit got turned down. That's right.
Right. But I don't recall that anybody said anything about, additional footage or just that it's in the setback.
Yes, and
Well, building,
that's not.
they're
no.
building within the setback,
That's right.
so the addition vertically is within the setback.
Well, they're vertically can go up 35 feet.
vertically,
No,
they're allowed to go up
I'm
to
just saying, I mean,
35 feet.
the addition is within the existing footprint.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's
No,
not.
it's not.
It's
It's
added
an
to the
addition.
existing footprint. It's an
Oh,
addition.
that's, well, that's, so, let's back up here, because I'm looking at the drawings here.
There's a screen room on the end that's being demolished, and there's a new transition room leading to a garage with a
Apartment above.
in-law suite above it. So there's a new structure being added to the end.
All right, well then, let me back up a little bit, because I wanted to comment on the drawings. First off, they're not clear. What is new? The two decks out back, are those new or those existing?
Those would be new.
Those are new, okay. Doesn't say that
The
here.
one's a patio, the other is a.
One's a patio and one's a
Patio
deck.
deck. And then, elevations would have been helpful to look at a change to it, but it's not clear on the first floor. What I'm seeing here is like the family room, kitchen, dining, transition room, mudroom, and two-car garage.
The two-car garage is new, and what is called a mudroom and transition room is mostly new.
Okay,
And this is a screen porch now, same size, it looks like on
Okay.
the drawing.
oh, okay, so to me, to my knowledge, these drawings really aren't clear.
Well, you look at the titles, it's pretty clear.
New addition setback plan, but it also shows the house.
Yeah,
Yes.
And it's-
Yeah, it shows the
Yeah.
house and the new addition, because they'll all be one building.
There's an existing setback plan and a proposed, no, a new addition plan. You've compared them, it's pretty clear what's going on, I think.
Oh, okay, I missed that. So,
Okay, while he's looking at this, how is the little separate outbuilding used?
It's a shed.
Just a shed?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm wrong about that, so it is an actual addition in square footage. I just didn't see that, 'cause and I looked at this level 2 in-law suite, you know, showing the first floor decks and whatnot, so. you know.
I think that deck is not a first floor deck, I think it's a second floor deck for the in-law suite.
Yes.
The patio is on the ground, I presume,
Yeah.
Okay, so patio is first floor,
which could be frankly within the setback, because it's not a building.
and,
That's correct.
and then the deck is actually on the second floor,
Yeah.
even though it's showing up on the first floor. Okay.
So the lady who wrote the letter, is her property uphill or downhill from you?
Okay.
Up,
I thought the water district was uphill.
no, I'm not talking about up Green Hill Road.
The
Up
Green Hill Road goes up,
That way, got it,
and
yeah, okay.
Dave Mosher is above them going up.
Okay, so back to item 4. Design in keeping with the current look and feel of the current structure and the surrounding home. So that's not quite exactly right, because you're adding sideways. I just misread those drawings. No closer to the road, if anything, this project will increase the value of surrounding homes. I just have to ask how.
Well, the house, when they're done with it, it will be a more attractive and substantial dwelling than it was, and generally speaking, that might have the effect of making the neighborhood look better and therefore increasing the value of surrounding buildings. I mean, it might. No guarantee.
Okay.
Okay, so. Nuclear substantial relationship between the general code, blah, blah, blah. The property already encroaches setback of the abutters to the north. The proposed addition will not encroach any further than already sits, which is not exactly correct by the site plans, right?
No, actually, if you look at the line, it is correct.
Well, I mean, if you take this off, that's encroaching
Yeah, and here, see, this actually encroaches more
further.
than this.
Okay.
And what you could say is that, well, you've got more building that's encroaching. What they're trying to say is we're not going any deeper than we already are.
It doesn't go as far as it already is into the setback.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, they're going as far as they already are,
Yeah,
but they're not going further.
right.
Proposed use is reasonable, one, because proposed use is residential. Explain how as stated earlier, existing structure already encroaches. Jackson Water Precinct not granting a variance would not allow any addition to the home.
I'm sorry, what did that last comment say?
As stated earlier, the existing structure already encroaches on the setback to our abutters to the north, the Jackson Water Precinct. Not granting the variance would not allow any addition to the home.
Well, I wonder about that, because there is room within the prescribed setback, I think, to build a garage.
How do you work with the road?
Yeah,
I mean, they're,
you
the
have the
line of
drawings?
their house, the front of their house is like
No, I'm
50
fine.
feet to the center of the
No,
road.
well, they're, I mean, that was, going
It's
which
all
way?
right, take your time.
Okay, right now, they're building a garage right here,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And
There's 50 feet right
yes,
there.
so here's a garage, but the garage
is
I mean,
right on the 50-foot line.
It's on the 50-foot line, but, you know, that's a deeper, I mean, I mean, a garage only needs to be 20 feet deep. This is a good deal more than 20 feet.
Well, they're putting in an apartment above it.
I understand, so,
So they're not building a garage, they're building an apartment with a garage underneath it.
careful, don't call it an apartment.
Oh, sorry. And what do they call it? In the
In-law
ordinance
suite.
it says apartment. Why can't we say apartment?
Well, because I mean, you can't, I don't believe the septic would allow for a separate accessory apartment.
Well, if the septic didn't, they're not here because their septic didn't.
No, I know,
pass.
but, yeah, if one tried to call this an accessory apartment, if there was,
What would we call
well, that gets,
It's an
it?
in-law suite.
Okay, I mean, call it whatever you like.
well, I mean,
I'm just-
I just be clear, because I don't want, you know, for everybody's sake, not to start talking about, oh, this is an accessory apartment, because that opens up whole other issues.
Why?
Largely, you'd need a new septic plan.
They must have a new septic plan,
No.
otherwise they wouldn't have gotten this.
No, the septic is allowable for a 3-bedroom house, which is what they have.
Yeah.
It's not, I doubt it would be adequate for a 2-bedroom house with an accessory, 1-bedroom accessory apartment. I just went through this, there's all,
Yeah, I
There's
get,
a
I get
bunch-
what you mean. Of course, there is no kitchen with this, it's simply a bath. And
No,
if
there's
they had, and they could have,
there's a wet bar. And,
is there a wet bar?
and so that's an issue really for the planning board.
Yeah, okay.
Huntley, is what do you do, maybe you want to talk to them about this, but what do you know, this proposal is in the gray area between just adding a bedroom and adding an accessory apartment. You know, you have a wet bar, maybe under-counter refrigerator.
I don't know how the planning board will look at it
Pardon?
I don't know how the planning board will look at it, but from a plumbing point of view, yeah, the wet bar would add to what goes into the septic, just like a garbage disposal. You have to have 500 more
Yeah.
gallons, just have to have a garbage.
Well, plus there's a bathroom up there too.
It's what?
It's a new bathroom,
Yeah.
so.
You know.
But it's
and-
judged
and-
on
But he got the
would-
subject.
Would I be going in the wrong direction if I said that our charge, because of what was rejected for building permit, is to talk about the setback?
Yes.
Not whether the
Yes.
I
apartment
I agree.
or the load or,
no question about that. I'm just suggesting, let's not call it an apartment.
okay,
All right.
That's all I said.
okay, we'll call it a bedroom. With a-
And now, is there a bedroom coming out of the main house?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, because I discussed it with Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it'll be the same number of bedrooms
Yeah, same
as
So
exists.
what's showing here is
They're
the family room.
repurposing an existing bedroom as into a den.
Is there a bedroom in the
Yeah,
basement?
and you're
There's no.
putting
official
an auxiliary
bedroom in the
sink
basement.
someplace.
Right.
Where are the 3 bedrooms now?
But that has no bearing whatsoever on what we're talking
The
about.
3 bedrooms are on the main floor.
They are.
So what's showing up here as the family room is currently the bedroom.
No, no.
I see 2 bedrooms here.
So that's a drawing of, on our main floor, there are 2 10-by-10 bedrooms
Yeah.
and 1 10-by-12 bedroom. We are going to take a 10-by-12 bedroom and a 10-by-10 bedroom, make it 1 bedroom. And then, so our 3rd bedroom will now be that
Over the garage.
over the garage.
See, fortunately, we don't really have a current as-built drawing that shows that.
Right, so we just show the drawing with,
But I don't think that matters.
I don't
No.
think it
That is
matters.
that's not what we're here to discuss.
I mean, I think I might
At
have
all.
one.
We've gotten sidetracked.
It's more just trying to understand the drawings.
Yeah.
While you're flipping through that, this, DJ Plumbing and Heating that did these drawings?
So my brother did those drawings,
Okay,
he's a plumber, and he has access to that,
Software.
software. So we have not brought those, drawings to a builder yet, we have talked to a couple different builders.
okay.
But we didn't wanna have official plans drawn up if we didn't have,
Yeah.
Okay.
approval of the variance. I got it, copied it out. This is the original footprint.
Yeah, so they still got a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah, that doesn't change.
Again, that's not our charge. We're here to look at the setbacks.
Uh, Well, you guys have been here longer than I have. I mean, historically, when you've got a non-conforming use that was in existence before the current zoning ordinances, I think there's been a little leeway granted on that, am I correct?
The issue of the existing structure, there's no issue with the existing structure violating setbacks.
Right.
It's, I guess, grandfathered, I guess you could speak of that. The issue is solely the increased footprint within the prescribed setback. It's largely the rear of the garage, the deck, and I suppose the transition room. All of which, in total or some portion of, are within the rear setback.
Yes.
And because of that, Kevin denied the permit.
Right.
And we have to decide whether to grant a variance to allow them to violate the rear setback in this manner or something else. You know, if you felt this was too much, you could say, well, everything but don't put the deck on, it won't be quite as bad, but, I mean, we have to go through the 5 criteria
Yes.
and decide whether or not those criteria allow us to grant the variance.
Yes, we certainly do. And before we do that, maybe we ought to discuss for just a minute what we think because it doesn't tell us actually anywhere in writing, what the purpose of the setbacks, the whole idea of setbacks, what's the purpose? What are they there for? Because one of these things is, it wouldn't be, what does it say about, enforcement of this would be contrary. I mean, it really has nothing to do with the purpose of the ordinance. So we ought to be talking perhaps a little bit about the purpose of the ordinance as far as setbacks are concerned.
It's density, it's allowing for sight lines and views, both from the road to see, let's say, children running out, front setback and side setbacks in particular. The rear setback, again, is views and density. You know, also fire safety is an issue of density. What else? I mean,
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
think that probably pretty much covers it. And to give density, you're talking about giving people space so that one house isn't built on top of another. and you've got some space, in which, in these cases, you'd have at least 50 feet, presumably, if the other buildings meet, if the other homes meet the, the
I
ordinance.
suspect there might be some violations there as well.
Well, there could be, but I'm
There's
saying,
nothing
so
really small
by
enough.
our ordinance, you'd have 50 feet. It's a good point, I guess, about views, although I don't know that our ordinance certainly doesn't speak to views, but maybe a master plan, I don't, having worked on it, I don't recall that it says anything about preserving individual views.
No.
Which may be why so many of these places that they've built up, say like on Tin Mine, are in the deeds, it says, we get to preserve our view, because the town is not gonna preserve your view. However, if you looked at that property, you'd see that there is no view in that direction. It's a wall of dirt and trees. That's all you can, even from the second floor of this place,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to see a hell of a lot, at least not right there. You might be able to see, can you see the mountains? Yeah.
Just the ones to this way, the village.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
Washington.
when I looked at it, obviously, I felt that this was kind of a no-brainer, that they're already there, there's nothing disturbed. We've got an abutter who could care less, and that it would seem to me that granting this variance and allowing them to, modify their home, would be a good thing. Good for them, good for the neighborhood, and not hurting anybody. If our setback ordinance is to preserve the kinds of things we were talking about. I don't see that it harms anybody, so I think in answering that criteria, it would, enforcement of this, whatever it says, we'll read it again, I think the answer would be no. Enforcing this under these circumstances would be, I don't know what to say without, I don't want to insult anybody. Just, those are my thoughts anyhow, so I think I've had enough to say.
Any other discussion?
In total?
Yep.
In total?
Yes.
Over all the criteria?
Yes.
Well,
Oh, we have to go one by one, don't we?
yes,
Well, I thought we would vote each one.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but any further debate before we vote?
No, not for me.
If the person was concerned with the view, they could take a 25-foot tree and put it there, you can't.
That's right. Yeah, you could require them to cut their
That's-
tree down.
True,
The tree has gotten too big, you have to cut it down because it's interfering
Well,
with the
and
view.
that's exactly what happens in these developments
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah,
They say, hey, you gotta cut that tree down,
yeah.
because it's stopping my view. But this is not that situation, because they don't have those covenants in there.
That's right. Let me go through them.
All right, so let's make a decision here. Item the first. What do I do with it? Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. Can we have a vote on that, please? Yeas?
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm torn, I'm gonna not vote today.
Okay,
Okay.
so you got 4 yes and 1 abstention. assuming you're voting yes, James. I
No, you might make me a yes too, that doesn't matter.
Let's make it,
Hey,
let's
I
make
don't
it
mind.
unanimous.
Yes.
don't know.
Let's see. If the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because,
Would be observed, period. That's what we're voting on.
yes,
Yes. And I believe it would be observed.
Yes, I vote yes.
Yes.
that's fine. Do substantial justice because,
It would be substantial justice. I vote yes.
Yes,
Okay.
for variance are granted, the values of the surrounding properties would not be diminished. So we had one question about that from one of the abutters, but
well, you know, we have to,
We have,
No,
we
I'm
have to
just
make
saying.
a guess, and I can't see how it could diminish the value of the
Nope.
surrounding property.
no, I'm just saying, and it wasn't that strenuous, so.
I vote yes.
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 And unnecessary hardship. Denial of variance would result
Wait,
in
how does that read? Can you just read the thing? that
owing
was-
to special conditions of the property, which I'm not quite sure about that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of variance would result in unnecessary hardship because, item 1, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public,
General public purposes of the ordinance.
and purpose of the ordinance,
There you go.
ordinance.
And I think that's the case.
Yes.
There's no enforcement of this, whatever you read.
I
My
think,
mind used to be sharper than it is.
I think the issue there is, I mean, it's, what are the, special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area? And there are two other properties on each side of it that, you know, are much the same in terms of setback issues and everything, and I
Well, we
can't,
don't know
Steep hill.
whether they're the same as setback issues. We know that their home, which was built before the ordinance, is in the setback. That could be considered a special condition. I don't know if the other homes are in the setback or they're not in the setback.
I have a hard time I would have a hard time agreeing that the fact that somebody is violating the setback, grandfathered albeit, but in the prescribed setback, creates a special condition that then allows them to do more.
Well,
I mean, it's kind of piggybacking on an existing violation.
I would say that the special condition exists because the house was built before it existed. If you looked at the lot, you can see clearly that if they want to put an addition on this place, that's where it's gotta go. You know, if they
couldn't have
wanna
built
get an
a house,
addition,
you couldn't have built a house there if the zoning ordinance had been in place.
they couldn't have built the house. The
Right.
house couldn't be built there.
But again, what is special about this house versus the others next to it?
Well, we know what their situation is. We don't know what the other people's situation is.
They're both all on a lot, about the same size.
I
Well,
think
no,
the
they're
house
not the
after
same
it though,
size.
Yes, they are.
there's no big hill back there. I think Gino owns all the property behind that house. I think that's higher.
Yeah, it goes up, but that
I don't
That
think.
lift is behind Mosier's house.
Yeah,
It's behind the next house up. I don't think it's behind that place that looks like a shed or something that somebody's living in there. I mean, it's a nice enough place, but it's long and narrow, right?
Yeah,
Is there a lift behind that?
no, that
No,
goes
it's
straight
also-
down.
That's what I
No.
thought, yeah, yeah.
No, I wouldn't think that they would have room, either one of those houses you're referring to do an addition within the setbacks on the abutters on this side. We have enough space to do the addition. We're just, don't have the space in the back.
Well, maybe that's
That's,
that makes it unique.
Different
They're
from-
the
different
only
from
ones
the
with
others.
space. I don't know. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I see three lots, all about the same size, all geographically, you know, terrain-wise, about the same. And I don't see anything special about this house. I mean, you know,
Well, it sounds to me like it may be special that they've got room with the side setbacks and the other houses don't.
I don't.
It's
well,
the
you're
rear
spec-
setback.
You're speculating
Well,
now. I mean,
Well,
Well, you're speculating.
yeah, you're speculating too,
well, no,
Frank.
I'm saying, you know, what, I mean,
You're speculating.
I'm stating that the three lots are all about the same size.
That's speculation.
No, it's not. You can go look, go right outside and look.
But do they have,
Did you check it? I mean, are they the same size?
No, all third of an acre,
Hmm.
plus or minus.
Google Maps.
I didn't look at that.
Oh, I just said-
No, I mean,
Yeah, this is,
tax map?
the map's right outside.
I have a map right here. Hey, come up and drop it off.
Sure.
So this is our lot here, and then those are the ones on the side.
Well, and it's obvious that theirs is a larger lot.
Well, it's wider. This is about the same size.
Uh,
Frank wants
They're both 1.3, aren't they?
this one doesn't, it's .3, is it? Yeah, .33, and that's .3,
Gotta have a difference of opinion.
but they've got the length that they need to put an addition on. This guy certainly doesn't. What's he got for frontage there? That's a .13 acres.
Yeah, the
That-
water
that's a
precinct
tiny
owns
lot.
most of that
Teeny
property.
tiny.
And she's only got 139 feet. They got 196 feet.
Yes, but she goes deeper.
Yeah, she does, but
She
with
could-
it,
she could build
I
an
mean, if
addition
you
to that.
saw the, if you,
Yeah, I know,
if you saw,
I scrolled
I
by.
mean, you're not gonna put an addition on there.
If you say so. I disagree.
What's what I say? No,
Yeah, I mean, you've got two houses right down here,
Yeah.
on Main Street.
Yeah.
That drop off considerably.
Yeah.
That kind of show that you could do something if you chose to. Expensive, but you could.
I'm not quite following you. What do you mean? In relation to this?
Well,
That's-
if one wanted to say, I mean, we're
Yeah.
way getting out of line here.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just making sense. I have a hard time seeing special conditions here for this property.
Are special conditions required there? Read
Yes.
that again. Is that one, or is that two conditions?
It's two, so.
So that's 4 and 5, is that what that is?
This is 5A and
5B.
B. So, owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of variance would result in unnecessary hardship because no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property.
Okay, I think I got it. So,
Yeah.
so I think we could all agree that denying it would have no, it wouldn't, the ordinance, I mean.
Right.
Whatever you just read, the last part you
Yeah.
read. So what you're saying, and I think you're probably right, what this says is that there's gotta be some special condition of the property, and then
Yes.
it doesn't,
I mean,
enforcing it would,
as I was looking at it, I mean, everybody similarly situated has to comply with all the same, parts of the zoning ordinance, the setbacks. I mean, if this were a radically different property from its neighbors, you could say there's a special condition there.
It sounds like the frontage is very different.
it is
Yeah.
significantly different. For these are all
Well,
small
can I-
lots.
Can I just link the first paragraph, only the special conditions, to 2, the next one, no fair and substantial, denial of variance would result in unnecessary hardship because no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance
Yeah.
provision and the specific application of the
We,
provision of the property.
And
we've gotten there already. The issue is you can't get to that phrase until you agree that there's something special about this property.
All right, okay.
There actually is though, because I should have, that's one thing I didn't do, I didn't look at the lot lines of the neighbors, but if the lot next to it goes back deeper, then that would make a special exception for this, because they can't go back. The only way they can go is.
it doesn't
one
go,
side.
it doesn't go back.
Well, but you're kind of presuming they somehow have a right to expand and, you know, they might, the other argument would be they just have to build their addition within the setbacks that they have. Which would be different, but something could be done.
So they've got 196 feet, these guys got nothing.
I'm gonna make it a special condition. It's their lot.
Well, they've got room to grow, that's why he doesn't.
Remember when we went to Superior Court with that guy who built that house up there on Thorn Hill?
Yep.
We were right, but we lost.
Only for the,
We lost because nobody could see that it was a big deal, basically. They just couldn't see it was a big deal,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying about this is not a big deal.
yeah,
The ones that don't
I'm
run
just-
the road sideways.
but
Yeah.
you're
I know what you're saying.
You're looking at a solution, end result, and I'm just looking at the individual tests.
I understand,
Yeah, I-
and I'm thinking about taking those individual tests and using well, there's nothing special about this property, it's got more frontage than the other properties, but
Okay?
nothing special, and taking that to,
I don't want to belabor this. I mean, I think I may be a minority here, so
Okay.
let's kind of.
Let's take a vote.
Yes,
is,
Opposed.
Mr. Benish? I'll say aye. Okay, so. Passes unanimously on all 4
except.
and 1 nay on 5.
okay, is that it?
No, we have to, we now have to vote to grant the variance.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, that's all we gotta vote on, right?
That's all the
It's
individual.
all 5.
All 5 pieces of the puzzle.
All right, here we go. All those in favor?
All right.
1, 2, 3.
How are you voting, James?
Nay.
He's doing a nay.
Did you vote yes, James?
I said aye,
I didn't hear.
but I hadn't yet. Okay, so variance is approved with 1 abstention on 2 counts, well, overall. Go home.
Thank you.
Okay, so they publish this, people have got 30 days to challenge it. So if Mrs. Dane Mosier decides that she wants to challenge it and say, I didn't know enough, or, she can do that. So you've got that 30 days, it's 30 days, isn't it, Frank?
Well, I have to say, I'm an architect by trade, and these drawings are lacking in a lot of information. And I know how to read drawings, and it wasn't clear to me, what was new and what was old, and patio and deck and whatnot, so, I assume going forward, you're going to have.
James, I'll say that that's up to you. When you accept an application, you have to, as chairman, you have to decide that they've complied with everything that they have to provide. And if, for example, they probably should have included the building permit that was denied, building permit application, for us to really truly understand the nature of Kevin's objection. And, you know, more detailed drawings.
We had Kevin's letter.
We did, but, you know, normally we'd have the denial from the building, the denial letter and the permit application. And, you know, if you feel the drawings are inadequate, it's up to you.
I don't think they're adequate to build.
Yeah.
Well, no, of course, no, but
No.
are they adequate to deal with the issues we have at hand?
I understand them now.
And,
Now
you know,
that they're clarified.
an elevation would have been helpful, or more clearer labeling of current situation and proposed would have been more helpful, I agree. But, you know, it's up to you to enforce that, just from my experience.
Understand.
And certainly, James, don't feel badly about it, because we were here to talk about setbacks, basically, and there's plenty of information there about setbacks.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of drawing of the house in relation to setbacks,
But,
and that was our
but,
question.
but James was,
James
uncertain.
would like to see better drawings, I got it.
No, my point is, he was uncertain, he didn't realize what the, that there was a addition being built here, I think.
Well, maybe you didn't look closely enough at the drawings. I mean, you recognized it, I recognized it.
Well,
And he recognized it after he looked at it.
Yes.
after a little coaching.
Well, thank you for your time.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And I did discuss this with Kevin, and Kevin, if it wasn't for the setbacks, he
It's
was,
no problem,
Yeah.
everything was fine,
Uh,
just the setback.
If I were Kevin, I'd be, as I said earlier, the additional bedroom suite above the garage with the wet bar just looks so close to a accessory apartment. And there's no way they have the septic for that.
Well, they're removing a bedroom.
No, the issue is accessory apartment
Talking about the
requires
extra water.
more septic because you essentially
Yeah.
have another kitchen there. And, you know, what a wet bar is, and whether there's a refrigerator there and a toaster oven, I mean, that's getting pretty close to a kitchen. And that's why I was referring to, really talking planning, from the planning board's perspective, is it's not really, I don't think our definition, this is fuzzy enough that I'd have some concerns if I were a building inspector.
Well,
Or even deny it if there's
we're
wet bar.
not, we're not the building inspector.
No, I know.
The building
I
inspector
wasn't
said,
aware of
here's
it.
why I denied it.
I'm communicating to Huntley, who's also on the planning board. And, you know,
I thought you were on the planning board.
we have a huge problem with short-term rentals in this town. And, you know, I think, the wet bar in a bedroom just kind of, to me, screams it's somebody, I don't think they are, maybe turn that off now.
Yeah.
There's some,